Quotas. As discussed in Part 4a, there is little economic incentive to conduct true investigations, because they do not produce revenue. Real investigations would cost the credit bureaus and furnishers real money. For the credit bureaus, this is money spent on people who are not their real customers. For furnishers, this is an investigation that could undermine their debt collection efforts. Thus, until recently with the move of eOscar into a for-profit entity, the investigation function has been seen only as a cost burden, to be minimized and reduced as much as possible. As part of this cost reduction, litigation discovery has revealed quota systems used by the credit bureaus to force employees to process disputes rapidly and without meaningful inquiry. For example, Experian uses a system to measure the number of converted units produced by each employee. Each task is assigned a different value. To meet Experian's minimum standards for a pay incentive if processing the most difficult of disputes, fraud and identity theft claims, the employee would have to perform at least 98.25 disputes per day, or 13.1 per hour. The quota minimum at TransUnion before it outsourced its investigation functions was between 10 to 14 dispute letters per hour. In other lawsuits, credit bureau employees have testified that employees are required to process one dispute every 4 or 6 minutes in order to meet quotas. In fact, more recent litigation discovery has shown that the credit bureaus have driven costs even lower. Before mid-2004, when Equifax still handled some disputes in-house, its average cost per dispute was $4.67. By late 2004 and into 2005, Equifax was using an outsource vendor called Axe in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Its Axe investigations cost Equifax only $1.08. Now, after the move to DDC in the Philippines, Equifax pays only $57 per consumer dispute letter, regardless of how many items or accounts are at issue. These dramatic reductions in cost per dispute described above have all come during a period of rising identity theft and fraud disputes. TransUnion has a different contractual relationship with its outsource vendor. It pays the Indian company a flat $8.00 per man-hour the vendor incurs, but it maintains rigorous production standards the vendor must meet. To add insult to injury, the credit bureaus have found another way to reduce their cost burdens for investigations by charging furnishers for investigations and actually making a profit from them. For example, Equifax pays its outsource vendor in the Philippines up to $57 to process each consumer dispute letter it receives. But through eOscar system, the bureaus charge no less than $25 to each furnisher for each ACDB dispute form sent electronically. Thus, if a consumer disputes 5 inaccurate accounts after a file is mixed or an identity stolen, Equifax would pay its vendor a fraction of the gross amount, e.g. $1.25 it charges its creditor customers through eOscar. In fact, the more automated disputes it sends out, the more money it generates. This is as much cost information as consumers have yet discovered. In fact, in 2 recent cases, the credit bureaus claimed not to maintain budgets, projections or gross cost estimates for their investigation functions, a claim that is fairly